Hi, fifth grade. We are ready for the mask project today. So what you will first do is pair up with a partner. This is a partner project. Today I have Evan here helping me out. He's going to help us demonstrate the project. Once you have a partner, you will head outside to the workstations that we have set up. The first thing you'll want to do is cover up one of your partners with an apron or a smock. Today we're using an old towel. Now, because this gets to be such a messy project, you want to make sure that you get the top of you and also the lap, okay? You don't want to go home covered in plaster all day. Okay, once you're covered up, make sure you have the rest of your supplies, which will be a cloth strip, a small cup of Vaseline, you'll need a tub of water about this size, and then of course a pile of your plaster mask strips. Once you make sure you have all your supplies gathered, we're ready to get started. The first step after one of your partners is covered up with their smock is you're going to take this cloth and you're going to tie it over their forehead. Just put a nice little tight knot in the back. Is that too tight or just right?
Good.
Okay. You want to make sure, especially girls or people with longer hair, that all your hair is covered up in this. That's kind of the purpose of this strip, is to keep the hair out of your face. You don't want to plaster that. If you have any of these little wispies or your hair comes down low, try and cover that up as much as you can and get any longer hairs pulled back. Then I think we're set, we're good to go. Evan has his hair pulled back. The next step is the Vaseline. This gets a little bit slimy and messy and will be kind of fun to slather up your partner here. So take a look at me here, Evan. I'm going to put a thin layer of Vaseline all over his face. Avoid the eyes. You definitely don't want to get it on his eyes. That won't feel very good. But if you miss a spot, that's where it's going to hurt when you take this mask off. So if you don't want this project to hurt, then make sure you get your face fully covered with the Vaseline. Okay? Do you feel me missing anywhere on you, Evan?
On the left a little.
Okay. Can you also look up? I want to make sure that you don't forget you need to get a little bit underneath the chin as well, because the mask will go underneath your chin. So you got all under there. I'm going to put a little bit of extra Vaseline right here over his little hairs here. A lot of us get thin hair, and that's where it's going to hurt the most to take off. So cover that up really good. I'm going to get the other side. The last part you don't want to forget is you also have to Vaseline this top cover of the forehead, or it will stick to the cloth as well. Okay, now that the face is fully covered in Vaseline, we are ready to get the strips put on. Now, the important thing to remember is once these plaster strips get wet, they get a little sticky and they harden pretty quickly. So we have to kind of work fast with them. What you'll do is take a dry strip, you're going to dip it in the water and then place it on the face. Now, what happens if you have the plaster here and the water here, and you cover the water, or you carry across the water? You're probably going to dunk, drip, and get these all wet, hardened, and ruined. So make sure you draw from a dry spot of strips, dunk it in the water, and then if you're gonna drip, you'll drip on the smock that you have covered, okay? We're gonna start with the nose. Wanna make sure that you cover the nose completely, and then we're gonna work out from there. I'm going to give you a quick analogy here. I'm sure most of you have played with Legos in the past. If you build a wall and you just keep stacking them, the wall won't stick together. So you need to kind of overlap them, if you know what I'm kind of explaining. And that's how it is with the plaster mask as well. Make sure they're always overlapping. If you put one on the face like this and one on the face like this, you're going to have a crack here. It won't stick. So always overlap the plaster strips. And I'm going to demonstrate here a little bit so you can see exactly what I mean. Again, we're going to start with the nose. So I take from the dry pile of strips, I dunk the whole strip in the tub of water. It's dripping wet, and then I'm going to put it right on Evan's nose here. Now it's a little bit bigger than his nose, so I'm just going to fold it in half so it's the right size. Then I smooth with my finger, and I fill in most of these holes. It's a little dry in a spot. You can always get some more water. And you just kind of spread it around until the holes are kind of dry. I take another dry strip, dunk it in the water, and I can move out from there. Again, I'm going to overlap the first one that I put down so that it will stick together. And I'm taking my wet finger and I rub along the strip until most of the holes are filled in. Got that? I'm going to take another dry strip, dunk it completely in the water, and put it on the other side. I'm going to overlap over here. Now see how I'm over his mouth a little bit? I can either fold it back so it's the size I want, or I can cut it when it's still dry, okay? We're gonna put lots of layers so no one will notice that later if it gets a little lumpy. And again, I take my wet finger and I fill in all these holes the best I can. Let's see, it's also very important to fold and take a long one and go up and down here so that you can kind of connect the nose strip to the forehead strip. Okay, and another long, skinny one. I dunk it. I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to maybe even in half again so I can get right under the lip there. Does that feel a little funny?
Like a mustache.
Feels like a mustache? Looks kind of like a mustache. So that all the pieces can kind of connect together. Now to make sure that this one that I put on top stays, I'm going to put another one on top to kind of cement it in place. That way, the cheeks are fully connected to the forehead and it's fully connected to the little mustache piece. That's kind of like the foundation of the mask, okay? Sorry, I got your mouth there a little bit. Now we're going to keep doing this over and over and over until we have the whole face covered. We're going to go right over this cloth strip, just like so, as if that's part of the face. Avoid the eyes. We're definitely not covering up the eyes. And remember, if you notice, I'm overlapping each one. And I take a wet finger and I kind of spread it together. It turns almost like glue. Again, I'm drawing from the dry into the wet. And I'll combine over here. Once you have completely covered the face, you've gotten the forehead, you've covered, turn your head to the side, you've gotten up to the ears on each side, and then you lift your chin up, and you've also lifted all the way up, tilt your head back. And once you've gotten underneath the neck, then you're pretty much done. Look straight ahead again. And you might want to do just a few finishing touches. So if you see like a shape you don't like I don't like how the eye is kind of square, so I'm going to put another piece over here. Or if there's a thin spot, you might want to add another strip there. Or if it feels weak anywhere, let's see. Or if there's any kind of bumps. Like I don't like this bump on the chin right there, on the cheek. So I'll put one more spot right there. And one more maybe across the forehead, just because there's a few lumps there. So just kind of do a once over and make sure that you don't have any gross spots that don't look nice. Remember, this is going to be their take-home mask project. You want to do the best job you can. Make sure it's not going to fall apart. Okay, so his face is completely covered. We're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes or so until it's completely hard, and then I'll show you how to take it off, okay? All right, after letting it sit for a little while, we've decided that this is pretty firm. If you kind of touch it and it feels a little hard, it's not wet anywhere, then it's probably about ready to come off. So this is the hard part. You have to be very careful with. At this point, you'll untie the scarf on the back of the head, and that's kind of a good place to start from. You can kind of pry it off, and hopefully you've used enough Vaseline so it comes off pretty easily, and it will slip right off your face. Does that feel good to come off? So now you can see that his mask is done. You'll very gently pull the scarf off from the inside so it can dry without. You'll take a Sharpie marker, write your name on the inside and your teacher's name, and set it on the cart to dry. Now on the next session, we're going to decorate the mask. So start thinking paint and glitter or sequins, feathers. You can get really creative. There's no limits or rules to this, really. So that is the mask project. Just to review, get a partner, cover up. First step is the scarf. Second is the Vaseline. Cover the entire face under the chin, especially the sides here where you have hair. It didn't hurt coming off of Evan. It came off pretty easily because we used quite a bit of the Vaseline. And then slowly, one at a time, dunk the plaster strips into the water and place on the face. Start with the nose and always overlap. Just like you would build a strong Lego wall, overlapping, not like this. You'll always want to overlap these plaster strips and you'll end up with a fun mask. If you have any questions, we'll be there to help you. Thanks.